I think I'll leave it. Okay. All right, finally here. I am literally about 15 minutes late. Mostly because in the midst of me trying to get ready for this live, my battery in my laptop died. I had to replace that, and we here now. Okay, so, and then of course now my Bluetooth isn't picking up, but it's fine. It is all good. This is the beauty of going live because sometimes you never know what might happen. Things just take place in the middle of your live and you have to adapt, all right? So this is me adapting. So we're going to still keep it moving with what is planned for today. As you guys can see, I have my rolling chair today. Normally, I'm not usually this comfortable, and I'm usually standing up the whole time talking to you guys. But for the most part, today is going to be pretty chill because it is going to be talking about bounce light. While I do that, let me go ahead and bring this camera down. See, I can see better. Cool, that's better. That's much better. All right, so I gotta make sure that y'all can see too. There we go. All right, so now I'm in the middle. All right, so got these gloves on because I was working inside of it. So I'm actually gonna take these off because I don't need these right now. But I did want to talk to you guys about bounce light. So as you can see, all I have today, I don't even have my backdrop. I don't have my softbox. I literally only have this S bracket and my speed light, okay? Meaning that all I can do with this is go all the way down, go all the way up, even flip this over to where it looks like this, just so I can show you guys the meaning or how to use your bounce light. Now, I remember when I was watching some videos on YouTube, and I seen a few photographers. There's one specifically where he had basically did the whole shoot with bounce light, and it came out beautifully. Right. So my idea for today is to play around with it, spend a good 30 minutes on just the bounce light. Meaning we're gonna try from different angles. So we're gonna try from the ceiling. I would say try from the floor, but I want you guys to be able to see what each angle would give. Right. So this, of course, is gonna give you an idea of how harsh the light is if you need to reduce the flash power, or if you need to add some diffusion. Like, it's a lot of different things that you can do with it, but keep in mind every photographer is different, so whatever you decide to do with your sets, with your setup, is up to you, and then you roll with that, right? But everybody else might have something different. So with that being stated, do I want to record this? Because it's already going to be playing on the page, but I feel like I need to record it just for content purposes. All right, so as always, you guys know I'm gonna tell you about my setup. I already showed you guys this, right? Speed light right now is just turned it on. Okay, so that is already connected to my trigger, which is actually not even on my camera yet. Where did I place it? All right, and here's my camera. It's very rare that you guys might see it here, but I'm gonna show it to you guys here right quick anyway. So this is the camera, and of course this is my trigger that goes with my camera that connects to my speed light. As you can see, the green light lets me know that it's ready to go, and that way I can, of course, just turn this on. And all I gotta do is press this lightning bolt button on the bottom of my speed light, and that's how I know that it's good to go, right? And then right now, my power is 1/16. It's a little powerful. I know 1/8 is also even higher in power. Of course, the closer you get to number 1, or it's technically full power. So the more you get, further away you get from number 1 or from full power, the softer the light will get. Okay, so I'm actually gonna adjust it. I'm gonna go bring it to 1/32, just for the purpose of what we're doing. 1/32 is usually my sweet spot when it comes to these. So I'm gonna slide it in here. That way it connects to my camera, and as well as connects to my speed light, okay? So then I'm also gonna connect my camera using my tethering cord. This is my tethering cord right here. You guys might see these, a lot of photographers, they'll use these, and they'll just Basically, it's your orange cord. Some of them are orange, some of them are different colors, but ultimately it's a long cord that is connected from the camera all the way to your computer. That's the way you can see the pictures as they are taken. The beauty of this is when I'm using my camera that's tethered to be able to take pictures, I actually am saving space on my camera, right? It's a quick tip. People don't really talk about that a whole lot, but if I take pictures with it being tethered, all the pictures that I take are actually going to be saved to my computer directly. And I basically, if I have one drive in here, one flash drive, it actually, or SD card rather, it won't fill up. Like it'll just go to the computer, which is so cool. All right, so I'll go here, plug this in right here. And then I'm gonna hear that sound. Oh yeah, once I hear it sound when I turn my camera on, like so. All right, so now I heard it. So now keep in mind when it comes to my camera setup right now, I currently have my kit lens on. Right, so this is my kit lens, and it's a zoom lens. It's not a prime lens. The prime lens would be the ones that are typically one shape, or excuse me, one size, right? So typically they'd be more cropped, or you can't zoom in, right? That's ideal. What a prime lens is, you can't zoom in. So obviously with this one, I can zoom in with. So this is why, of course, I am going to use this, but mostly because I've been falling in love with my kit lens with my self-portrait, so I have no problem using you to help you create some awesome ass shit. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and hit remote shooting. Wait for that to come up. That is up now. And as you guys know, as always, I am going to do a tester. I'm going to do a test shot, okay? So I'm over here also thinking, do I need to have screen power up? I'll be having a lot of these up. I don't know if I want to have all those up. It's too much. It's too much. I feel like I'd rather do them separately in a different way. So I'm going to try something different today, okay? Instead of me being extra. See if anybody's actually in the chat. No, not yet, and that's fine. I don't always expect a lot of people to show up in these chats just yet. All right, so test shots, okay? So now what we're going to do, we're going to do a test shot with this facing me. So as you guys have seen me do in the past, I have this facing me and at an angle. So I'll do the same thing here. Keep in mind, this is at 1/32 with no diffusion whatsoever. So I'm going to lower it down to angle me, bring it up just a little bit, just a little bit. All right, just like that. Then, of course, I'm going to sit in my chair, set my timer on my camera. You guys know I stay doing that. So you guys can see it on all these angles. There we go. All right. So now, turn my timer on. Self-timer 10 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and turn my live view on so I can see what I'm working with in the chair. Bring this down some, like so. And as always, I will let you know what my settings are. So currently, my settings are for my shutter speed is 1/200, okay? My aperture is 4.0 and my ISO is 400, right? So of course, there's always usually some wiggle room to be had with that, but I'm gonna start off with that right now just to see what that does. I'm gonna go ahead and press the button, and we're gonna do a test shot just to see what that looks like. Now, I am most certain that it's showing up pretty bright, all right? But we're gonna play with it anyway just to see what it looks like and what it gives. I'm gonna move you guys over a little bit just so that way you can see me ultimately. All right, so now we're gonna see what this shot looks like because I know it popped up and did, and it's bright. And I need to suck my stomach in a little bit, but this is the idea. So I'm gonna go ahead and place that in here as well. So let's see, that is going to be, not that one, that is going to be this one. Boom, that's what that looks like. All right, so nothing wrong with it, but I'm also like, yeah, I don't really like it, so of course I'm going to adjust it, right? So now, trying to figure out why this does this the way that it does it, but that's not for me to worry about right now. Okay, so Still need to make sure I can see the other screen. All right, so as you can see, it's cool, but I definitely want something that's a little softer, okay? So now, where the bounce comes into play, this is where I'm going to show you guys what that looks like, right? I'm not worried about the sharpness as of right now. Right now, I want you guys to get an idea of how the lighting works in itself. So now what I want to do is I am going to turn my light all the way back, having it facing the ceiling. Keep in mind, my ceilings are white. All right, so typically if you're going to do bounce light, you want to make sure that you're at least you're bouncing off of white ceilings, right? And honestly, I can't tell you why exactly, the reason why, but in my mind, based off of science, I feel like it's because it's almost like having your white balance set up straight, right, correctly. Especially when it comes to our speed lights, we do have a white card that we can pull out that we can also bounce off of that, just in case we don't have white ceilings or white walls. So right now, I just bounced off of me. I didn't change my settings. And I'm going to bounce off the ceiling, to see what happens. Then I'm going to bounce off the wall to see if that also makes a difference, right? I'm going to go ahead and sit back in my chair. If I need to adjust anything, I wasn't as sharp, but you know me. I'm always going to go for that. So I'll go here. I'm going to test that out. And I'm actually going to zoom in some. That one looks like it might be better. Let's shoot for that. It's pointing up. Now let's see what happens. That should be softer. Alright? So let's see. Softer, but almost dark. Right? But ideally, as you can see, it didn't make it to where it was so bright on me. So what I could do, as you already know, to be able to bring more brightness to my picture is I can increase my ISO, for one. I can increase my flash power, or I can drop my aperture, or I can lower my shutter speed. Now, I feel like I'm going to do the shutter speed first, just because I'm not moving a lot right now. I'm not a moving subject for these type of shots. So we'll start off with that, just to see what that does. And then again, we'll try bouncing it off the wall, see if that makes a difference as well. But keep in mind, the lower that your shutter speed is, the more ambient light you will start to bring, and it will also risk some type of blur too. So those are some things you need to pay attention to when it comes to understanding how to adjust the shutter speed and when to do it, right? But I know ideally I couldn't mess with the aperture, but I'll do a little bit of all of those things as we go along, just so that you guys can get an idea of what this looks like, all right? So now I'm going to lower the shutter speed to, say, about 1/125. Right now we're here. Made it a little darker, right? Made it a little darker. So, what could that mean? Right? So what that could mean is a number of things, meaning that maybe the shutter speed is not what we really needed to do, because it is bringing a little more ambient light, but it is still showing up darker. So, again, this is why we're here, right? And everyone should feel like, oh my gosh, she doesn't know what she's doing. Half the time, I've done it, okay? The other half, I'm figuring it out. And because I'm figuring it out, I'm figuring it out with you guys, and I'm also testing out these different things to see what does work. So now that I know that this made it only darker, what I could do, I could bring in my flash power. Right, I can bring it back to 1/200 if I wanted to, just to make it that even of brightness. And then I'll increase my flash power to 1/16. So that's 1/16 right now. Then I will bring my shutter speed to 1/200. We'll press that button. He might still bounce off the ceiling. Right, maybe the wall might make a difference. All right, so let's see. Let's just try it out and see. Alright, so I made it a little brighter, right? Made it a little brighter. You can see me with a little more. I got some shadows in there that's coming in. So what I did was I adjusted my flash power to 1/16, and I also boosted up my shutter speed to 1/200, which is interesting. So now what I'm gonna do is, to get even more power, I'm going to drop down my aperture. So instead of having it at 4.0, I'm going to bring it down as much as I can. And technically I can't. So I'll leave it at 200, okay? So there's that. Now, what I could do, I could increase the flash power even more to 1/8. Now, what I'll do first, before I do any of that, is I am actually going to go ahead and flip this over. We did get it to show more light. Flip it over, and now I'm going to make it face the wall. All right? So let's have it face the wall behind me, behind it first. Let's do behind it. Pretty sure that effect isn't going to be what I want it to be, but we're going to test it out anyway. The beauty of this is that I'm going to test out different things. All right, see what works. So now I'm going to go ahead and press that button. I'm pretty sure it's not going to do, but I want you guys to see what it's going to do. Right? So, as always, that's what I figured it was going to do. It's going to make it darker, right? So let's turn it. Now, of course, you want that effect. You can definitely mess with it if you want to. I'm going to turn it, face it this way. Try it again. I keep saying I'm working my poses. Now that made it brighter. So, here's what you can gather from that. That one's so much brighter, and it's actually the softness that I want, and it's actually the imagery that I want, and I didn't have no diffusion of it, right? Now, what we can gather from is when I turned it facing towards that wall, it wasn't facing me at all, obviously, right? So it was trying to bounce off of this wall, but it didn't do much, because it's like, it's some stuff over here, it's a shelf over here, right? But then when I faced it onto this wall, keep in mind, it was facing me as well, but not exactly on me. So instead of it being directly on me, I had it facing the wall that was closest to me, and it bounced off of there, and it got me way better than it did from the ceiling. Okay, so that's something we could definitely take from that, is that specifically when it comes to where you are at, right? Depending on if you're doing, say, for example, a wedding or a party, sometimes those events are darker than this, like much darker than this. Hence why you would need a flashlight, a speed light, right? So, but you also want to make sure that you have areas you can bounce that light off of, because you don't want to have that light directly on your subjects, right? Now, of course, if you decide that you find a way to diffuse it, you can drop it down as much as you can, but then being prepared for those extra shadows. If you don't want those shadows, this is where you want to have something that's going to help create that filling of that light, just like this picture just showed right here, right? So that was pretty cool, the fact that I'm able to at least have that to show you guys a difference. And it filled up even the back area. It got my lamp right here in the back, and it very proportionate, right? So now I can do even more like this. And pay attention to how we adjust the angles, right? So I'm not adjusting any of the settings. Now I'm just going to mess with the angles. So instead, what I'll do is, because I'm sitting right here, the flash is right here, I'll point it this way. I'm going to point it up a little bit towards that wall, and then I'll point it towards the floor to see if that makes any difference. That's what you guys can see. That's it. That's what you guys can see. Over here. All right. Maybe my. No, it's on. This is on too. All right. Sometimes that happens. Keep in mind, just because it doesn't flash one time does not mean something is wrong. It might just be needing a second. So let's try it again. All right. As you can see, it did it that time. So now we wait and see what that pops up as. Even softer. Even softer. And all I did was point it up a little bit. So as you can see, the further up it goes, the darker it starts to go, right? Keep in mind, when we got to the ceiling earlier, it wasn't giving us anything at all. But normally, depending on where you're shooting at, that the ceiling would give you some type of bounce back, right? You would normally be able to get that to fill in for you. But in this case, for where we are at, is at the wall. So this is an idea that don't feel as if one method has to work for all events, especially if it's a dark event. You have to pay attention to where your settings are. You have to pay attention to where you're at, what building you're in. You have to pay attention to where there are white walls at. What can you bounce off of, right? If you can't bounce off of anything, maybe you may have a a white card in your speed light, which typically you will have one. So we'll go over that in a second as well. But these are some things to pay attention to when it comes to what you're looking at when it comes to bounce light, right? And again, this is not even no fancy type of filming to that extent. It's just literally just you guys can see how the bounce light works. Of course, how high your ceilings are also make a difference. So if you have ceilings that are very, very high, it might not work the best for you when it comes to that. Or even if, again, if the walls aren't white at all, that might not work the best for you. So ensuring that you have the white card already in your speed light, or make sure that you actually have a diffuser in case you have to really point it at people. All right. So I like how that looks. I actually think it's pretty cool. Might be a little dark for some people, but it's pretty cool. Now, I'm going to point it again. I'll point it towards the bottom of the wall. Again, just so you guys can see. It's not for any particular reason, but just so you guys can see. And then I'm going to bring it up to where it's almost to where it's over me, but not directly on me. And it's still going to be in front of the camera. And I'll do it like this. All right, so as you can see, it's pointed this way, and I'm right here, right? Of course, try it again. This should still be on. Yes, it is. All right, just to make sure that light actually does something. Okay, now let's see. Interesting. Interesting. That's not bad, but it's interesting. Right? So what could cause that? That also could be a number of things. Keep in mind, this lighting is facing down below, right? And I can turn it around. Maybe that can make a difference. But it's facing down towards the bottom of the wall. And it's not towards the straight ahead. And it's not at the top where we had it at before. But it's facing there, but that's the effect that it created. Now, I can say maybe it's the lens. Maybe the lens needs to be clean. But even that, it looks, I like it. I like the moody vibe. I like the fact that it created this, it made the back dark, right? It didn't ultimately keep it to where everything was lit. So I personally love it. So I'm going to try it one more time just for the sake of the picture to see if I can duplicate it again. And if it does, then that's something to consider, right? But it also could be because of the lighting that I have straight behind this camera. Yeah, so that may have something to do with it too. So I'm going to turn off this light to see if that makes a difference, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Alright, so I turned off the light that I had that was actually over my phone to be able for that filming. Now I'm going to try it like this to see if this makes a difference. Same angle, I'm not changing anything, right? No, it didn't really change that. So now, it could also be the fact that it is in front of the camera itself. So it got nothing to do with the light that was behind it. It could have something to do with the sensitivity of this camera being right here in front of it, and then of course this shooting as close as it is. So I'm not gonna put a whole lot of thought into it, but nonetheless I do like the effect. Alright, my battery on my camera's about to die, but it should last on for a few more minutes. Alright. So now what we're gonna do, so now that we did that, I could also put it behind me, right? Just for the sake of trying some stuff out. So we'll put it behind me. We'll put it behind me, and I can put it facing me slightly. And we'll try that. Just being dramatic for no reason. Okay, so which is kind of what I expected. So it's definitely giving a hair light effect, but definitely way more moody. Alright, so it's doing that. So now what I could do, instead of doing that all together, I can turn it so that it's not facing me. And I can make it face the wall straight ahead. Just bouncing the light off the wall. That's it. That's all we're doing. I'm gonna show you guys the card in a second, so you guys can see what that looks like, what that effect does. One of these gonna be my thumbnail. Okay, so as you can see where the light is facing it, right? Where it's going. So I had it obviously facing as well, but it's kind of looking at, I guess I had an angle. Now, because we're close to the ceiling, I'm gonna try it one more time to go directly on the ceiling. And it's still at 1/16, by the way. So, okay, we'll try that. Don't just hit my paper. Jump. Okay, that's cute. That's cute. All right, so with this angle, now I was able to make it so where it fills up the back, right? It fills up me as well a little bit, and you can see stuff. You can see it has some type of dimension to it. So it's not straight flat. It's not one area is like super bright. It just has the background is lit up like I have it intentionally in that way because of where I set it up at. And of course, I'm also lit up to some extent as well. So some things to definitely look at when it comes to where you place your lighting. But my advice would be, if you're at an event, say for example, you're not gonna be in the same place at an event all the time. So you may want to definitely try out the camera on top of the camera. Let me rephrase. You may want to attempt to try different things with this flash directly on top of the camera. So what we'll do is, I'm going to do that and talk about the white card that's attached to the speed light so you guys can get an idea of how that looks. Because if you're at an event and you're like, I don't know where my white wall is at, if this is going to pick up, and it's different everywhere, unless you have one specific area that you are stationed that whole evening, that'll be the only way that this will work. Otherwise, you will have to go ahead and just have it set up and have it on camera, and then just have it to where the white board, the white card on the actual speed light will be your bounce, where you can bounce your light off of it. All right, so let me show that to you right quick and talk about that, and then we're gonna start taking some pictures with it. But I'm gonna turn off my trigger, and I'm just gonna connect my speed light directly to the camera. All right, so I'll bring this up so you guys can see a better angle of how that looks like. I'm gonna turn this off. Disconnect. Just like that. I'm not going to use that for the rest of the night. Then I'm going to turn this back forward, drop this down. I'm going to take this off. I'm not going to use that the rest of the night either. Now, just going to place it directly on my camera. Just like that. Tighten it up. In this case, lock it up. Like so. Now, it's been a while since I've used it like this, so I will have to detach the mode. So it's on manual now. Alright, so now, of course, we can test it out. Now, what I currently have it to where it is at 1/128 right now for this. But I can drop that down. Right? So right now, I can put it, let's try 1/64, just for the sake of the pictures. And then we'll see what that does. I'll try that very quick. And it's facing me, so I have it where it's like literally facing me, right? It's gonna be bright. I already know it's gonna be bright. Yes. Like scary movie bright. Okay? Which is fine. So now what we can do is we can bring the flash power, the numbers up, while bringing the power of it down if we're going to face it directly on me. Okay? So then what I'll do here is I will hit my plus or minus sign. Then I'll go up to 1/28 just to see if that does anything. Hit that button. Keep in mind, it's still facing me directly. So this is just for the purpose of seeing what happens. Like, So right now, I'm picking thumbnails, all right, if you guys are trying to figure out what exactly I'm doing. So I'm picking thumbnails. So that's a lot better. That's probably going to be my thumbnail for this video, which is great, right? So now, of course, I have that already up. And now I can say, okay, cool. If I drop it even more. Now, keep in mind, it could be another person right off to the side. All you got to do is make sure you're in focus and you can flash the picture. And you can still have it facing directly. But be prepared because what is happening is it is only focusing on that person versus it being like, versus it lighting up the room, right? So you have those shadows. So I'll bring it down a little bit more just again for the sake of this. So I will hit the plus or minus sign. Go down to, so 1 over 28 is the highest. So 1 over 28 is the highest. 1 over 128 is the highest, which is interesting. So then in that case, I can adjust my numbers in my settings. So I can bring that down to 1 over 125. And I can even adjust my ISO from here too. So I can try 1 over 200. All right, and then we'll try that out. So you see, I adjusted 2 settings. See if that makes a difference. So I can practice more poses. Now this is better. This is better. So what happens now? Okay, as you can see, my color is coming in a lot better. Right, it's still focused on me, which is fine. I'm probably doing one more just for the sake of it, and it's still now I got it to where it's more natural, right? So it's a bit more natural. Okay, so that's that, right? And again, if this is the image you're going for, if this is what you want, I would advise, go ahead and mess with it, play around with it, see what you like best out of it, because it's pretty cool, especially if you want that type of fish eye slight type imagery. You can definitely use it to that extent, which is awesome. But now we can actually test out the white box or the white card, right? So now, if you can see, I am pulling out this white card right here. Now, there's 2 things on this, right? So there's a white card, and there's also this clear diffusion. You can use either or both. The clear diffusion itself, I'll turn this around right quick. The clear diffusion itself, it actually is like a flat, right? So let me bring this back so everybody can see it. So this is the clear diffusion right here. It's a flat, right? So you can use that, of course, to diffuse your image if you want to. And then, of course, if you don't have any white walls to bounce off of, you can use this to bounce off. So we're going to try it just like this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have it pointing up. And then I'm going to have it taking a pic in my picture. Alright, so we're going to try it that way. I didn't adjust anything else. I'm probably going to bring this down some. Alright. Be right here. Okay, now it's dark. That's all I gotta say. That it's dark. Okay, so how do we adjust that? Right. Keep in mind, I did have to change out the angling. So at first it was focused on me, and now it's not. So now it's trying to bounce off of the white diffusion as the clear diffusion flat, as well as the white card. So now let's try just the white card by pushing the diffusion flat back inside to see if that makes a difference, and then we'll start playing with our settings. Same thing, right? So now we play with the settings, right? So now, as we can see, it was 1 over 128, but keep in mind that was when it was facing us directly. So now that it's not doing that, we got to bring this number down. So now what we're going to do is we're going to bring it down to, I'm going to try 1 over 32. We might need more than that, but we'll try 1 over 32. And then we're going to go ahead and press that button, because I want to be able to get this pose before the night is over. coming in even more, right? So that gives us an idea. So of course, when you start seeing it gets darker and you've adjusted your lighting, your light source, right? If you had to move your softbox, or if your model is not on the floor and they used to be standing up, if any of those things happen where the model changes or the light source changes, you are absolutely going to have to do some more adjustments. It's not going to be a situation where you can use the same setting for everything. You are always going to have to make the adjustments along the way if you want to ensure that you're having great shots. If you're like, you know what, I don't want to touch a whole lot of stuff, and you want it to look good every time, keep them in the same place the whole entire time. They might get a little bit bored, but unless you know, you got different poses you can give them or different props without them having to do so much, and that's great. But for the most part, if they're moving around, be prepared to have to make these adjustments. So now we're going to adjust some more stuff, right? So I'm going to keep the shutter speed at 1/125. The aperture, I'm also going to do at 4.0 because I like it where it's at. But I'm going to increase the ISO, right? And I might even drop the flash power or bring it up some. So for the ISO, I'm going to bring that up to 400. That's where I was at initially. And I'll select that. Then I'm going to go ahead and bring this down to 1/16. And keep in mind, it's still bouncing off of this white card, all right? I'd rather it be bright for me to bounce it off it versus it being dark. Okay, so do I even have to say anything? Like, do I have to say anything at this point? Okay, so but keep in mind, the further or the closer you get to a 1 full power, the more it's using of your battery, right? Whatever that may be, whether it's AA's, the lithium ion batteries, whether it's an actual battery pack, it's going to use more of that. So be prepared that if you're going to have it closer and closer to the full power of 1, then you want to make sure that you have other battery sources that you can utilize, so that way you aren't in the middle of a shoot and everything completely dies, and now you can't shoot like you want to. So it's always great to have more choices, more options when it comes to that. But yeah, I look crazy, and I like it. I like it. Like I like the fact that. So here's another thing that I'm also paying attention to. When it comes to me doing these, I don't want to be always so serious all the time, right? Because at the end of the day, the intention is to be able to have fun. If I'm having fun, I'm learning something, but I also can utilize it at the next shoot. And the beauty of this is because I've been doing these, I've noticed that when I go to other shoots with people, I really can relax, right? Because I've been practicing with my camera already, so I know what is adjustments I need to make to get a certain type of look, right? Just so that way I'm not feeling as if, okay, now I'm in here, I'm stuck, I'm confused, and now I'm tense and probably anxious, and it creates for a bad environment for the most part, right? So I would rather I'm having fun while I'm doing this, right? Especially if I'm doing my lives. That way, all I can do is translate that same thing to when I work with my clients, and they love it. Like, I think it's because of the fact that I am relaxed. I am not necessarily just trying to be funny, but I am like letting them know what's going on. Like, I can say, hey, this is what's happening. Well, let me go ahead and adjust this because I just did this. Like, I'll say this all the time. Like, I just moved you from this area, so I'm going to go adjust my lighting again, so they know what's going on. Keeping that communication. Some people already know, because they be about the business and stuff, but other people don't. Most people don't. But you want to get into the habit of saying it anyway, because you just never know. And you never want to be with that client that's like, I don't know what was happening. They would just move me around, and it took forever for them to test this, and I'm just sitting around because I got time. I don't have time. You know what I mean? It could be a lot of stuff. So to make sure that you are being mindful of your own time, for one, being mindful of others, this is where you obviously do the work beforehand, so that when you get there, you're really just having a good old time. Like, it's nothing for you, right? So saying all that because I like how this came out. It filled up the whole room. And if I wanted to, of course, to make it even more focused and centered, this is where I would have the flash facing me again to be able to get those specific shots, to get that moody look without it having to fill up the whole room. But as you can see, if you are doing an event and you got a room full of people, your best bet would to be able to have the flash card pointing up, the white card pointing up. Because I can have it point to the ceiling, but it's not guaranteed that I'm going to be able to fill up the light, right? So if I need a little bit more help, I'll put the white card up. Because if I try it right now without the white card, and I'll try to do the same shot, like literally the same shot, it might not give me the same effect. And then the flash didn't even go off. But it's about to go off now, so give me a second. This one, I just know my camera. So it did fill it up. Alright, so I'm not gonna say it didn't do it at all. It did fill it up. So now this could also be because it's bouncing off of the ceiling and of course it's coming back down on me, but it also filled up the behind scenes as well. So again, let's try out different things. It's not gonna be one thing's gonna work for everything, but I know that if I don't use my white card and I have my flash, because we just tried this on this, but it was facing directly on this way. So it could be something was blocking it, so it wasn't giving as much lighting. But the bounce came up all the way to the ceiling, and it filled up the rest of this room, as you can see that, right? And it even got my lamp. Like, the lamp is really still lit. It's actually not showing anything different from that. So I'm loving that it's giving all those different perspectives, and you guys can play around with it on your own, right? So if this helps you guys at all, like, if you're like, you know what, I do want to mess with more bounce light, because at the end of the day, the bounce light, and using, if you only have a speed light, and you don't have a trigger, you don't have no softbox, get familiar with this bounce light. Like, really utilize that, because you don't have to have all the fancy equipment to be able to really make some really great images. You can simply use your speed light. Now, I wouldn't advise using a flash on your camera, but I'm not going to also say that I haven't done that in the past. Right before I had my speed light, there were a couple of events that I attended. I had to use my auto because I didn't understand my manual all the way, and I needed more flash. So it wasn't a lot of lighting in the room. I didn't bring my own. I wasn't familiar with making sure to bring my own at the time, and I had to make it work, and I had to deliver. So I ensured that I used my auto, made it do what it needed to do. The client loved the shots, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, as a professional, I'm not going to want to use that automatic setting all the time, because it's not going to always give the vibe that I want it to give. Because ultimately, that for sure is a flash that's directly pointed right at your subject, right? So automatically the background is going to darken up, okay? And it's just going to give a certain type of brightness. So that's something that I think about when it comes to using that flash that is on the camera. Hence, why it's best to have your speed light or an external flash source. Never really understood the fact that they still have it on these cameras, but I guess for people who are starting out, because they do have all the different settings, and I know everybody's different, so it could be one of those things that like, yo, I'm not going to say how to use your camera, but you have it here just in case. You want to start out, you want to go ahead and just start taking some shots, then you can do that, right? But for me, I'm manual all the way. As much as I can be, I will use my manual setting all the time. It's because I can control it. I can decide how sharp I want my images to be. I can decide how much light from the ambient side I want to actually come in. I can control my area, right? Now, as always, the more work you do, the more you start seeing different things and how you can tweak it over time and how you can make it work for you. So utilize these techniques. Try them out for yourself. See what works best for you and see what doesn't work. And maybe you're like, you know what? I don't want to do any of these. I want to try something else my own way. Go for it. You know, if it works for you, I would say just try it out and master it and go ahead and make some money on it. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, have fun. Like, just have fun. And if you don't have any models, model yourself. Like, you don't even need a whole lot to really make it happen. Just get in front of the camera, take pictures, make a silly face, and keep it moving. All right, so that's all I got for you guys for tonight. This was fun for me. I actually did enjoy it because it was pretty chill. I'm going to do my best. I promise I'm going to do my best to start having, not necessarily images, but I will have maybe at least text thumbnails that let you guys know at least the day of what is coming for that particular live. And that's the same thing for my Instagram. Because Instagram, I'm there on Mondays. I do marketing live Monday conversations. So I am going to see if I can make sure that even on Mondays, I'll have something that is posted on there that, hey, this is coming up, and make that like a schedule, like an event every Monday. Same thing when it comes to YouTube. So if I know people are going to be watching these and you guys are watching them all the time, make sure that I actually have something that you guys know. And then I make you more compelled to come and look at me on the night of in that exact time, right? If you guys like how that sounds, definitely let me know. and I will make sure I incorporate it. But I'm gonna try it out anyway, just to see if it works. And if it starts getting more people to come on here, I'll keep up with it. And if it don't, I really don't see how this could be a bad idea. But nonetheless, we're gonna mess with it. All right. So thank you guys for tuning in and watching how I do my thing, and I will catch you guys on the next one. All right.